Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today I am doing a trying on and talking about new makeup video. So I apologize in advance for this being a little bit clunky. I don't normally do makeup on camera because of my setup. When I'm able to, I do makeup application videos in my bathroom on my phone, but those are usually shorts. And I often try to insert those in these videos, but it's an entirely different formatting and filming setup. So I understand that's not really the same thing. The quality is a little bit different. Main reason I haven't been doing makeup in my filming location is the lighting. I don't know what it is, but I haven't been able to figure it out. Today, I essentially just turned all of the lights up to full capacity and I'm just seeing if I can get through this. The other big change is my microphone setup. I was using this hardwired microphone here, and I noticed in by my last video, the sound was getting worse and worse. And I had already asked for a new microphone from my husband for Christmas, so I didn't want to spend too much money in the meantime. So to get me through between now and then, I just picked up this little DJI wireless, which I've used with great success with my phone. What I've never done is try to use it with my camera. I've never tried to use a wireless microphone with this particular camera. So obviously I'm just a little bit nervous because it's just another thing that can go wrong when you're making a video. But hopefully it does fix the sound problems that I have been having, because I completely understand that those were really, really bad. I didn't know how bad they were until I watched the videos myself on YouTube, because when I played them on my computer, I didn't hear any of the feedback that I was hearing once I uploaded it. So it was almost like something happened between the editing and the upload that caused it to be so much worse. I don't know enough about any of this stuff to even begin to try to fix that. So I just want to apologize for it and let you know that I am working on that going forward. The thing that inspired this video was this coming in the mail last night. So I just picked up the Nars New Realm Blush Palette and I wanted to try this on. And I was originally going to just put my makeup on and try the blush on camera, but I thought, no, you know what? I need to stop putting this off. I need to figure out how to do my makeup on camera. So I'm not going to wait until I feel ready. I'm just going to do it. And I have enough other new makeup here to talk about, like the new Pat McGrath release, that I might as well just do it today. So that's what this video is going to be about. Now I'm going to cut to jump scare. I am warning you now. I'm going to cut to myself with no makeup on. It's really hard. I know that the lights help, but as somebody who has struggled with acne, pretty significantly cystic acne for the last 10 years, it's really hard for me to do videos like this, hence why I'm filming the intro at the end of the video. But anyway, you've been warned. I'm going to cut to me with no makeup on, and I'm going to start with the eye application. So here we go. So this is me barefaced with just eye primer on, as you can see. This is why I prefer a solid medium coverage foundation. I have things to cover, especially around my chin. I have some healing acne here that's pretty fresh. So I'm doing my absolute best to work through my insecurities and post this anyway. I also really hope that the lighting's okay. I typically do these type of videos only on TikTok because I can use my phone in my bathroom, which is where I actually do my makeup in real life, because it has the brightest lighting. For me to do this in the living room, I had to really turn my lights up to be able to see well enough in my mirror right here. And in doing that, I run the risk of the video looking blown out. But I did learn the hard way that if I don't turn the lights up, I really can't do an effective job on my actual makeup look. So I do apologize for that. And I will also be including B-roll, which is what I lean on most of the time for showing things up close in clear lighting. Anyway, I don't want to keep talking. I'm just going to start. So today I had two new palettes to choose between. I had the Nomad Pacific Northwest, and I also just got the Pat McGrath Gilded Nirvana palette. I decided to go with this one since I will be including the Nomad palette in a ranking coming up soon. I figured that was the way to go with Nomad because I have so many of their palettes at this point. And I know a lot of people do the smart thing with Nomad, which is wait to the end of the year where they have really good Black Friday sales and bundle deals. So you can pick up a few palettes at once, save on shipping, save because of the sale, and just pick the best of the whole year that you want from that selection, having had plenty of time to look over and compare them and watch reviews. So if you have patience, that's definitely the way to do that. So I'll be talking about that palette in that video. And I don't really have any other plans for this. I think there's plenty of reviews out already. I'm not sure anybody needs a review of this from me. So rather than make a whole dedicated video to this, I'm just going to talk about it here. There's also not too much that I can add to the conversation about the formula. A lot of people tried the 5-pan holiday releases from the past, which contain this formula, which is not the mothership formula, but it is made in Italy. So it's most easily referred to as the holiday Italian formula. If you've tried that, and I think they were the duos last year had that formula, it's the same and it's just very easygoing. It's not like the American holiday formula, which was dusty and pretty awful in my opinion, if I'm going to be frank about that. So if that were the formula, I wouldn't even consider buying this. But because this is the Italian holiday formula, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I think if you look at this and you like the color story, you're going to be happy with the palette. So I don't feel like there's a lot to discuss around this. You either kind of like it or you don't. And I definitely like it. I could have easily lived without it. I have all of these colors in my collection. Everybody knows this, but I was happily surprised when I got it in my hands that the colors really did feel nice enough to hold their own in my collection. So there's something to be said for that. Obviously, I'm not going to want to reach for this every day because there's not enough matte, but I'm a fan of the smaller pans. I'm a fan of the smaller packaging, and I am glad that I picked this up. So today I'm going to start with the only actual option to set up a look. So that's these mauve tones, which I'm cool with because I really like those shades. Also at the end, I'm going to include my short where I did eye swatches so you can get, you know, a little bit more of an opportunity to see these shades since I'm not going to really be doing that here. All right, starting with the lighter pink, and I am using a What's Up Beauty R03. I love these brushes. Actually, I'm meaning to pick up a few more, assuming they do something for Black Friday. Because I'm not the best at talking and blending, I might speed this next part up, but I will stop and at least include what shade and brush I'm using. All right, so Rougher Shoto 01, and I'm going into the darker mauve. Singe EO4 back in with the darker mauve. Singe EO1, I'm going to go into my inner corner with the light pink shade. Now with my finger, I'm going to go in with the deep purple. And now with the lighter purple. Back in with the light pink. Now I'm going to clean up under the brow. Back in with a little of the mid-tone pink. Some Makeup Forever Boundless Bisque in my lower waterline. Some Tom Ford liquid liner in black. All right, now I'm gonna go put on some mascara and lashes and I'll be right back. Whenever I attempt to do makeup on camera and I go into my bathroom to put my lashes on, I'm always so grateful that I can finally see. this didn't come out too terribly, and I'm totally at a loss. I don't know how other people do this, especially if they're working with natural daylight. I don't know how they get enough light, and I'm pretty sure I have 20/20 vision, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. But the eye look didn't come out terrible. I went with something pretty boring and safe, but it is pretty. Lately, when I've been reaching for this palette, I keep picking this orange duochrome right here, which is not unique. I have the same shade from Denona Myrick and probably a ton of indie brands, but it's just so pretty. That's the look that I keep going back for. But I think I went with this, well, one, because it's easy to do when I can't see, but also to show how everyday friendly this palette actually is. So I'll try to pop in a picture so you can see it a little bit better. But yeah, that's what we're working with. And normally I would not put lashes on yet. I would wait to the very last step of my makeup, but I am a lash girl. I do wear them in real life every day. I go for the more subtle variety, but this is how I would complete this look. I am popping in here from the future because there's been some significant developments. Literally the day after I filmed this, I got a few significant items in the mail that I thought were worth including in this video rather than waiting another week to talk about them. I got the Louis Vuitton Waking Dawn refill, and I also got the Guerlain Lipstick in shade 521. I'm mentioning this shade because I do believe it's particularly popular, so I have a short where I have myself trying this on so you can see it on my skin tone, and I'll include that here. You know, these cases are not new. They've been out for a while, but this is the first time that I decided to pick it up, and I'm pleasantly surprised. These feel really significant. I love the little mirror detail, and this is adorable. So if you're looking at this shade for the Sephora sale, I thought I would throw that in there. I'm also going to include footage of me putting on Waking Dawn. I was a lot less impressed with this than I was Nude Mirage. I really, really like Nude Mirage. I think from a formula standpoint, that one really holds its own, whereas I didn't feel that way about this. I feel at this point from swatching every single quad, this one was the hardest to pick up on a brush. And because of that, it took a lot to get anything out of it, let alone the look I prefer. Obviously, I like a little bit more impact, but I think even if you're somebody who likes a more subtle look, this just doesn't pick up well. It's not easy to use. Whereas, as subtle as the other quads are, they're easy to use. This was not as easy to use. So I think if you're looking at this and you're debating between this and maybe another one, Beige Memento, Nude Mirage, any of the other quads, I would probably say stick with those and you can skip this. I did get away with using it as blush and highlight, but am I actually going to want to do that when I have plenty of really nice blush and highlighters? No, I'm probably not. So even though I can use this and it was a safe gamble in that perspective, it's not something that I'm necessarily excited to use. It also didn't have a lot of depth. This brown obviously showed up on me, but it wouldn't show up on a lot of people, I would suspect. So not the best quad in my opinion. The other significant development that happened here is I went to the mall yesterday. I actually went to pick up Cosmic Dreams, another refill from Louis Vuitton. And I did check ahead of time and they supposedly had one in stock. However, when I showed up to pick it up, it was gone. So I'm not sure what happened. It was still saying in stock when I got there, but for whatever reason, it wasn't meant to be. So I decided to pop on over to Nordstrom and check out these from Dolce & Gabbana. That is what is on my eyes today. And I just filmed a short putting this on that I'll put up here. I went with Chrome Star, but honestly, I would have been happy with any of the three. I swatched all three toppers and I went with the one that had the topper that stood out to me the most, but I think they're all beautiful and I could even see myself getting one of the other ones in the future when it goes on sale. The Wet Look Shimmer is probably the thing that makes me most excited about makeup across the board, period. I'll show this swatched against other shades like it. So the OG Urban Decay Munda Shadow in Space Cowboy, the topper from YSL, Babylon Roses. I actually gave away my Stora Dolls. I might replace that because I do think it's more similar to Stora Dolls. The Makeup by Mario, the original, not the subsequent Ethereal Eyes palettes. I personally don't think those are as good, but the OG is absolutely stunning. So I compared it to those three, and is it dramatically different? No, it certainly isn't. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference on the eyes most likely, but it was extremely easy to use. The formula is stunning. The formula of all of the other shades are stunning as well, and I'm just really happy that I decided to not wait and try it now. I was originally going to hold off for a sale, which I am sure is coming. They sell this in a lot of department stores, Macy's, Nordstrom. They all do sales around the holidays. But now I have some more complete thoughts, so I can decide if I want to pick up the other ones. The other nice thing about picking it up in store is I was able to get samples. So I got a sample of their foundation and primer, which I'm going to try on a different day, and I got a sample of their concealer, which I have been looking at. So I'm going to try that today, as well as the Makeup by Mario foundation. Because I was at the mall and I was at the bigger Sephora where they have everything, they had a full stock of every shade of the Makeup by Mario, the new foundation that he just came out with. I was also really glad I went in person because online I would have probably picked the wrong shade. Today I'm going to try it in 3.5C, but I'm not normally cool tone in foundation. I am neutral, slightly cool, but not cool enough where I don't think I've ever actually bought a cool tone foundation. So this seemed to be the best match. I'll throw up some swatches. She also gave me 2N, which I definitely think is too light, and 4.5N, which actually looks very yellow to me. The 4.5N I might have ended up buying if I had purchased it online, so I'm so glad that I went in, and I'm really excited to try this today. So that's why I'm back on camera with no makeup. I'm gonna try the Makeup by Mario foundation and the Dolce & Gabbana concealer. I was going to erase the footage I have of me using my Chanel No. 1 foundation when I originally filmed this video, but I decided that I'm going to leave it in because at the end of the day, it is still my holy grail foundation, and I think that footage could be useful to some amount of people if you have dry aging skin like me. I know it's not new, but it's still a fantastic foundation. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it lately, so I guess I'm just reminding people that it still exists. A final thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is that I also got to see the infamous Chanel glass lipstick in person in the boutique, and I can say with full confidence now that it looks the same in person as it does online. I was so mystified when this first came to my attention. I didn't see it when it first came out, but I heard about it recently, probably because of the sticker shock from the Louis Vuitton release. It made it seem more relevant. A $195 lipstick case from Chanel already exists. When I saw pictures of it though, I was like, that reads as acrylic to me. There's just something about it. Like, it doesn't look luxurious. I don't understand. And then I heard Alicia Archer and a few other people talk about it and talk about how beautiful it is. So I figured it has to be me. I have to be missing something. I am sure if I saw this thing in person, I would be like, oh my God, it's made out of crystal. It's absolutely fabulous. I was convinced because why on earth would people buy this otherwise? However, when I actually got to see it, while in my hand it felt heavy and luxurious in that respect, it didn't actually look any better at all than it did online. It looked like Revlon to me. The metal didn't look particularly luxurious either. Just the whole thing is just lost on me. But I totally understand that a lot of people feel that way about the Louis Vuitton lipstick. They look at that and they say that's nothing special. It's black and gold. It looks like it could be made out of plastic too. I'm totally aware of that. So everybody likes different things. I guess I'm just here to clarify for anyone looking at it and thinking that there was some kind of disconnect between online and in person. I can clear that up for you and tell you that it's not. What you see is what you get, which is good. It's good to be able to get a realistic view of things online, since it's not easy for everyone to get to see these things in store. Having gone in to see it though, I also wanted to mention how different the experience was shopping in the Chanel boutique in the makeup department. They were so nice. The people there were so incredibly nice, knowledgeable, helpful. There was no weirdness. They let me look at things and interact with them, and it was so different from the Louis Vuitton experience that I had, and I guess I'm just grateful that it can be done. And I really hope Louis Vuitton improves their in-store experience. I guess more than that, it would be great if they sold at department stores where they already have people trained in beauty and cosmetics and how to successfully sell that stuff and let people interact with it. But if they're not going to do that, at the very least, they could take a page out of the Chanel handbook and make it a more pleasant experience for people. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. I wasn't tempted by those lipsticks, even though I did like the formula better. I think the Chanel lipstick formula is actually better than Louis Vuitton. I didn't like the case as much, so I wasn't going to get it just for the formula. Special, but not $200 special. So I'm glad I got to clear that up for myself, and it was a fun experience nevertheless. So now let's get into the foundation. I have also zoomed in since I did not do that last time, and I realized that that made it really hard to see my eye look. So real quick, this is Chrome Star on my eyes. Now here's Makeup by Mario 3.5C. Also, in case you're interested, as primer today, I'm using the Pat McGrath Divine Skin Cream. I hate the price tag of this, but I really love this as a glowy base for foundation. So right off the bat, I like the finish of this. It is hydrating without being overly dewy or greasy. I think the only thing I'm not loving about it is the fact that it's not doing the best job at disguising my acne, so it is lighter coverage than I was hoping. I like a light medium coverage generally, and this is just almost like a hair too light, but I'm going to see if I can fix that just by adding some concealer. So far though, I think I can confidently say that compared to the other foundations that I'll talk about later in this video that I also tried, the Natasha Denona and the Victoria Beckham, I think I like this one the best, actually. Obviously, I need to use it a few more times, but luckily these samples are pretty generous, so I will be able to do that. Now I'm going to add the Dolce & Gabbana concealer. I'm going to try shade 10. Definitely not really the right shade, so I'm going to mix in a little bit of shade 4. Now I'm going to go apply the rest of my makeup and I'll come back with final thoughts. All right, and that is the completed look with the Makeup by Mario foundation and the Dolce & Gabbana concealer. I also have on the Guerlain lipstick in 521, so I can definitely say that I like this so far. The concealer isn't settling into fine lines, and the foundation is almost perfect. It's just a hair on the light coverage side because I am somebody who does have acne, but I could see myself picking this up during the Sephora sale because I definitely like it that much, and I will have updated thoughts during my Sephora recommendations video. Now back to me doing the rest of my makeup. Now we'll move on to complexion. Thank God I can cover this up and maybe feel a little bit less awkward. Today I'm going to use the Chanel No. 1. This is my favorite foundation. This was just 20% off at Ulta, and I did talk about it on Instagram because I love this foundation so much because of the finish it leaves while still having some coverage to it. This is lighter coverage than my Nars Light Reflecting. That gives me a little bit more coverage, and that's my solid second choice. But this baby has yet to be dethroned. So today I'm actually going to mix shade B20 and B30. If I was forced to choose only one, I would go with B30 because B20 is just a little bit too light, and I feel like when I go too light, it accentuates my texture. So even though I really hate the deviation mark here, I rather blend a foundation further down my neck than worry about it just highlighting all the stuff that I want to stay hidden. I don't really know why that happens. I know most people suggest going too light and just using a bronzer, but that's just been how I feel, and I don't feel comfortable when I go with something that's way too light. I definitely wish that they had my perfect shade, but considering this is my favorite foundation, I don't mind buying two because then it just lasts twice as long. But generally, I really hate that. I do wish they had just one shade for me. Now I'm going to conceal with my current favorite concealer, which is the Sarah Creal. Painting on my brows with the Benefit Pomade. And really quick, I wanted to touch on some other foundations that I've been looking at recently. And I talked about this extensively on Instagram, but I really tried to make the new Natasha Denona formula work for me, but I just genuinely couldn't do it. I ended up returning it. I tried two different shades, and the problem actually wasn't the shade because I would put it on, it would look really nice at first, but then as the day wore on, it just got really dry and patchy, and I wasn't happy with it no matter what I did. I did all kinds of different skin prep. I tried everything. Finally, with the last straw, when I finally returned it, was when I looked at the ingredient list and I realized that there was denatured alcohol in the formula. Now, denatured alcohol can be great in foundations because it can make them dry down in a really pretty way. It also often makes them self-setting, so you don't need to add powder and make it even drier if you have dry skin. However, if you have a compromised barrier, you are probably gonna feel it. You're probably genuinely not going to love foundations that have denatured alcohol in them, and that's the camp I fall in for some reason. And I always check ingredients for that and for phenoxyethanol, which I am allergic to, so I'm constantly reading ingredient lists. I don't know, it was a blank spot. I think because I have the concealer and the concealer works really well for me and doesn't have that for some reason, I just assumed that the foundation wouldn't either. That was on me. I absolutely should have checked, but that's why that foundation did not work for me ultimately. I also tried the Victoria Beckham foundation because my mom has it and she sent me some, and that one worked better for me, but well, I mean, she's several shades lighter than me, so it wasn't a great shade match. That's why I didn't really feature it on its own on Instagram. I would have if I thought it looked a little bit better, but despite that, I was just trying to look at the formula, and I think it might actually be too shiny. I was really impressed with the coverage, but it started separating on me throughout the day, so I don't know that that was really a fair wear test. I did try it a few times, but my plan is if I can get to a blue mercury, I will try it again in store, but I'm not going to take a $110 gamble. The only other foundation on my radar right now is the one from Makeup by Mario, which I've heard is a very natural finish. The one thing I'm worried is that it may not be enough coverage. I mean, I have to imagine it's at least as much coverage as the Chanel #1. This is considered light medium, so I have a feeling it might actually work for me. But with that one, I think I'm going to try to get a sample in store. As someone with somewhat difficult skin, I am constantly testing foundations, even though I'm really happy with my Chanel and my Nars Light Reflecting. I'm always waiting for the next best thing. Maybe something really will change my life. There's only one one way to find out. So whatever, I'm constantly fascinated in trying new foundations. So at some point I'll probably test that out, but other than that, nothing feels really urgent. I feel like, at least for me, until Sarah Creal comes out with a foundation, my wallet's probably pretty safe. I'm pretty happy with the ones that I have, so that's good. Now I'm going to go grab my contour and bronzer and do that next. For contour, I'm still loving my Westman Atelier biscuit. I was this close in grabbing the Dior contour stick when that was on sale recently, but last minute I hesitated because I heard that when you blend it out, it turns warm and it kind of changes tone. So as someone who is mostly neutral but a little bit cool tone, I don't want a contour stick warming up on me. Biscuit could be considered a bronzer for some people, for sure, but I just think it's a really flattering tone on my particular skin. And I'm not carving out cheekbones over here. I have the face that I have. I'm just trying to lightly add a little bit of definition, and this is just easy. I don't have to worry about not blending it well enough. It's kind of mistake proof, so I'm probably gonna end up picking up another mini during the Sephora sale. The only reason I don't want to commit to a full size is I may want to try something else. And I know that about myself, so that's why I love that Westman Atelier has these minis. For bronzer, I guess my favorite bronzer right now is still the Gucci in shade 1. I pretty much use that every day. But this is newer to my collection. This is the RMS Beach Walk Betty, and I've really been happy with this for a lighter bronze look. It's a little bit less significant than the Gucci, and it has a pink undertone as well, which I'm a big fan of. I forgot, actually, in between those two steps, I usually add a little bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. It's not totally necessary. I mostly like this when I have a more significant bronzer because it sort of helps blend everything together. I didn't really need this today, but I guess it's kind of muscle memory at this point. And all right, now I guess we're ready to move on to blush. Really quick, I wanted to talk about this Hindash highlighter. I got Doll Dynasty, and this is my new favorite highlighter. It's just absolutely stunning. I think I'm gonna hold off on this because I don't want it to alter the look of the blushes that we're testing, but I did want to throw that in there, as well as to talk about these really quick. So these are the mini blushes that are part of the Pat McGrath Holiday collection. I say you can skip these. They're just okay, in my opinion. I know that cream blush is very popular, but it's just not my favorite formula. There's something about this that's like, not patchy. Patchy's not the right word for this, but I think my reservation and the reason why I never want to pick this out of my cream blush selection is I don't feel like it melts in really well with the rest of my makeup. It doesn't really add any hydration, and yeah, it's just not my idea of a really great cream blush formula or a dewy blush. So I'm not mad that I picked it up because, you know, these were $15 each, and now I know I didn't have to commit to a full size and I can just move on. I don't have to try that formula again. And it was a pretty easy way to find out, low commitment, but I'm good now. I don't need, especially cream blushes because they expire. I need to be really picky about the ones I pick up. So I'd say go for the palette, but you can skip on the blushes. The blush I did want to talk more about today was this from Nars. So this is the deeper palette, which I was a little bit nervous about at first. I'm not gonna lie. This is New Realm, and it has Foolish, Thrill, Thrash, Teased, Dark Love, and Dolce Vita in it. I'm mostly drawn to the Dolce Vita shade, but there was just something about this. This was on my Sephora wish list. I was not going to pick this up at full price because I never actually reach for my blush palettes. I know this about myself. That's why I always skip these. I'm never even tempted, especially by the Nars ones, for whatever reason. If I'm going to get a blush palette, it's going to be an Hourglass palette. I'm not going to bother really with anyone else because I never use them. There was just something about the formula in this that made me like need to try it. So I was going to get it at $48, 20% off, and I was going to wait until the Sephora sale. I was in no rush for this. Out of the blue, Ulta had a 20% off coupon. So I was like, All right, might as well. They have it too. This came the next day. I got this in the mail last night, and I think it was like 24-hour turnover. So that was absolutely crazy. But because this just came yesterday, I obviously don't have a ton of thought. When I'm done filming this, I'm going to film a short with it so I can show more of the blush colors so you're not just stuck with the one look that I'm doing today. Today I will be doing a demo with the new Nars blush palette. I have this in the deeper version, New Realm. First, I'm going to show swatches, both indoor and outdoor lighting, and then I'm going to do a cheek swatch for each of the shade by itself and layered. So I'm going to start with these light pinks, and I'm just using a Sephora fluffy brush that I'm going to clean in between. So this is Foolish and this is Thrilled, and I'm going to do Foolish on this side and Thrilled over here. So here is Foolish under indoor lighting, and again, this is the shade with shimmer, and this is Thrill. This is the matte blush. And honestly, I am trying to make a point of using a more realistic amount, since most of the reviews that I've seen so far, they did a very good job showing the color, but it wasn't how I would ever wear these. So I wanted to see what they looked like on, skin tone. I am light, medium, mostly neutral, slightly leaning cool, and I wanted to see a more realistic view of that. So again, this is the side with shimmer, this is the matte, and now I'm going to take this outside. This is Natural Daylight, this is the side with shimmer, this is the side that's matte. And again, I have nothing else on my face, so this is just blush on top of foundation. Now I've layered the two. On this side, I added the matte, which did bring a little bit more pigment than I wanted. This side, though, is where I added the shimmer on top of the matte. That's probably what most people are going to be doing with this. The formula is gorgeous. These are the shades layered in outdoor lighting. All right, now I've reapplied my Nars Light Reflecting Foundation, and I'm not using it with any powder or anything else. And I'm going to do the same thing with Thrash and Teased. So this is Thrash, the more sparkly shade. This one, I'm really going out of my way to use a light hand. I think it's quite pigmented. And now Teased, the matte shade. Yeah, I actually like this color a lot more than I originally thought I would. So this is indoor lighting. This is outdoor lighting. And these are the two layered. So again, this is the matte on top of the shimmer, and this side is the shimmer on top of the matte. I think I need to buff this out a little bit. But I wanted to quickly add too, these blush toppers or highlighters, I would say maybe I could use this one as a highlighter, but for me, these are more blush toppers, and I would probably actually still add a highlighter. Not everyone would feel that way, but I think the effect is subtle enough that you could get away with this if you traditionally don't like highlighters. Indoor lighting, outdoor lighting, two shades layered. All right, and finally, I'm going to finish up with my favorite shades in this whole palette, and that is Dark Love and Dolce Vita. So this is Dark Love with the shimmer. And at the end, I'm going to post a photo of me wearing this shade, these two shades layered last night with bronzer and contour and powder, so you could get an idea of what this would look like with a full face. Now the matte, Dolce Vita. I would absolutely wear either of these on their own. This is probably my favorite shade out of this whole palette. I like Dolce Vita too, but I mean, they're all gorgeous, but if I had to pick one, it would be Dark Love. So that's indoor lighting, outdoor lighting. And here are the two layered. Indoor lighting, outdoor lighting. And now here's a look at everything side by side. Here's a look at my makeup look from last night using Dolce Vita and Dark Love. And yeah, I hope that was helpful. I was initially very intimidated by the depth in this palette, but it can be shared out and it's very easy to work with. And I love the formula. So I would wait for the Sephora sale and get it for 20% off, but I highly recommend. And if you were on the fence, I hope this was helpful. I have to say, even just from swatching it last night, I'm impressed so far. I really do like it. The one thing I did learn by putting it on my face last night, like before I went to bed, because I just couldn't help myself, was I have to use a very light hand. This is incredibly pigmented, which is a good thing. I would rather it be like that and work for more people, but I'm going to do my best to not go overboard. So I'm starting with the matte Dolce Vita. And yeah, I do really like that. And now in place of highlighter, I'm going to go on top with the shimmer shade. I also think you could use this on its own for a blush highlight hybrid type of deal. And I probably should not have used a natural hair brush for that. They tend to pick up more pigment, so I'm going to try to buff it out with just a clean, fluffy blender brush. And yes, I should not be using natural hair brushes with this. It probably looks a little bit less severe because of the light. IRL, I did a little bit much, but I'm going to go over it with some powder. So here I have Hourglass Dim Light. And real quick, for years I've been using these Rephr powder brushes because especially with the Hourglass powders, I like how they pick them up. But these started shedding like crazy for me and making my face itch. So I'm curious if that's a me thing. I do try to be really delicate with them when I clean them. I only use the Rephr soap. I dry them upside down. You know, I don't wash them the way I would wash my really expensive Fude, but I'm not horrible with them, I guess is my point. So I was surprised by that. Because of that, I probably won't be buying any more face brushes from them. But anyway, I think that's probably fine since they're not really doing the sales the way they used to. And yeah, that's the blush. I think it looks great now. If you're near my skin tone, don't be intimidated by this. I think you can use it no problem. As long as you use a light hand and the packaging is stunning, I'm not gonna lie. That was initially the thing that drew me into this and I am not disappointed. All right, now I'm gonna finish off the look with this Louis Vuitton lipstick. I just picked this up in Sable Roses. And I was nervous about this shade. This is probably as dark as I would comfortably go, mainly because I have really small lips and I feel like dark colors sometimes accentuate that. So this one was a bit of a gamble. I didn't go in store to see it first. I just saw Alicia Archer put it on and I loved how it looked on her. So I bought it and I'm not mad. I think it's a really pretty color for fall and I will actually use it despite the fact that it's matte. I can always just throw a gloss on top and be fine. So I've been really happy with the Louis Vuitton lip products in general. If you follow me at all on Instagram or TikTok, you've seen the several shorts that I've done talking about these shades. I don't do that to attract criticism because it's still pretty polarizing. I just do it because I know not everyone can see these things in store. It's only in 100 stores and it's not even in some major cities like Boston. So that's crazy to me. And I think people really need to be able to see swatches at the very least, which the website doesn't even have. They don't have swatches. They have a try-on tool, which is like, okay, but it's not great. I did a side-by-side in my Louis Vuitton review video, and I'm gonna do a 6-month follow-up talking about how much I've actually used the products that I bought. But I put a side-by-side of the photo try-on tool next to the lipstick on my lips in real life, so you could kind of gauge how similar it was. And I mean, there's a filter on the try-on tool and it lightens and brightens your face. So that changes things, and I don't think it really takes into account exactly how much of your natural skin or your lip tone is showing through and changing the color. So is it better than nothing? Sure, but it's still not how I would prefer to buy makeup. So that's why I keep posting about that stuff. It's not because I am changing and turning into a luxury beauty channel. That'll never be me. But I like what I like regardless of where it comes from. Sometimes that's high-end, sometimes that's luxury, sometimes it's indie or mainstream. I don't really care. It's the product itself, and I'm actually really impressed with all the stuff that I've tried from them so far, so I'm probably going to eventually buy more of it. Oh, actually, that reminds me, including an eyeshadow palette that is on its way. The shipping is painfully slow for whatever reason, but if you want to see swatches of Waking Dawn, I'll definitely do that and make a short about it sometime next week, assuming it gets there by then. I'm on the fence about going in store to pick up Cosmic Dreams. I know Cosmic Dreams is sold out online. It is available in the store by me, and I've already decided that I am going to pick it up. The part of me that is okay waiting for it to come back in stock online is I feel like it gives me more time to marinate on each palette individually, whereas getting too much at once, I kind of feel overwhelmed and then nothing really gets the amount of time that I would want to spend formulating my opinion on them. So that's why I actually haven't gone in store and done that yet. But if it really doesn't come in stock anytime soon, I absolutely will. That leads me to my other thought about there being so many eyeshadow palettes right now, and so many of them are almost getting me, and I'll put them in cart, but then I won't actually follow through because I know, genuinely genuinely that I'm not able to appreciate them. Another one almost got me today. The Angeshka and Odin's Eye Hela Palette coming back for a limited time at $43. You get all kinds of free gifts, 2 makeup brushes, a tote bag, a single eyeshadow, a highlighter or blush. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, and I'm not gonna lie. The reason I almost bought it was the tote bag. As absolutely insane as that sounds, I almost got the bundle because I wanted the stupid tote bag. I was good though. I know that I don't need the Hela palette. I didn't buy that when it first came out and I regretted it, and I still regret it because I think if I got it back then, I would enjoy it. At this point though, especially after Agate Temptation and more palettes than I can count that have pink shimmers in them, like, I do not need that palette. That palette would add nothing to my collection as it stands. That doesn't mean it's not a good deal. That doesn't mean I don't think it makes sense for other people to pick it up, but I know I won't use it. So I'm going to try to do my best to walk away from that and remember that I don't actually like the Odin's Eye formula. So I can't let myself get sucked into another palette just because of the artwork. I also know that we have a new release coming from Cosmic Brushes on Monday called the Starlight Society. Looking at this imagery, that looks like it was made for me. So I know before I make any other purchases that were not planned. I did pick up the new Denona Myricks, but I had planned to buy that. I'm trying to stay away from impulse buys, so before I make any other purchases, I am going to wait to see the reveal of this. I've actually never tried anything from Cosmic Brushes, and I'm a little nervous because it's a brand I'm not familiar with, but I've generally heard good things, and this theme is right up my street. So I need to take a deep breath, realize that it's 2025. Nothing's selling out. We don't have to rush. I am refilming this part during editing because we now have the details on the full release from Cosmic Brushes, and you can see the full set here. Now, as much as I actually really like the packaging of this, I don't have room for this in my life right now, so I am not going to get the full collection. I'm going to wait. So that means I'm not going to get this palette at launch. When it comes out this Friday, October 17th, I'm going to wait until it's released on its own because I just don't need these other things. I don't need the highlight or the eyeliners, and I especially don't need the lip product. That being said, I still think it's a good deal. I think Cosmic Brushes is very well priced, and I do look forward to trying them eventually, but I need to take a deep breath because I know for a fact that what I'm going to use from this is the eyeshadow palette. I just finished watching a review of this collection from Angeshka. Now, having seen that and been able to fully digest the swatches, I don't think this is an urgent need. When I first saw this sneak peek, I felt like it was going to be that way for me. I thought I was going to drop everything because I love anything space themed. I'm a sucker for that. I love that stuff. So I thought for sure I was going to get this entire thing. From a financial standpoint, I'm glad to say that I can wait. I could live without it, and I still do want to get the palette, but I don't need to drop everything and buy a bunch of other products with it that I know I don't need. So that's where I stand on that. Luckily, right now there have been a bunch of other releases that I genuinely don't want. I don't want the new Makeup by Mario palette. I don't want any of the Dior holiday stuff. The Chanel 9 pans don't interest me. There's a lot of stuff that I don't like. So I'm able to focus more on the things that do appeal to me and take my time really deciding if I need them in my life or not. The palette I'm most excited about is the new Denona Myricks, and that should be arriving to me later today. So that's going to be the next exciting thing that I focus on, and I don't need to try everything that appeals to me as much as I would love to. I guess the closest thing is this little Natasha Denona gift set. These make really good gifts. I could absolutely see picking this up as a gift. I don't need any Natasha Denona eyeshadows. I have a ton from her, so I wouldn't buy that for myself, but I could put this away for the holidays, and actually that lipstick looks fun. Okay, they kind of get me with the lipstick. And since we're on Makeup on Your Radar, I guess I'll throw in the new It collection. You know me, I love a spooky theme, so I'm attracted to this. I know myself well enough to know, though, that I probably won't use this based on the colors. So I'm gonna skip, but that definitely caught my eye. But nothing else feels super urgent. Right now, anything that is sold at Sephora gets put on the wish list. I'll throw up a screenshot of my current wish list. You know, these Dior lip sequins liquid duo, it's so silly. I know that I'm not gonna like the formula of this. I know it's gonna dry my lips out and I'm gonna hate it, but like I've said in another video, I am a child, and the fact that this activates sparkle has me so intrigued. I just need to try for myself, but I don't need to pay full price. So I will absolutely wait until I could get 20% off that. Hopefully it'll be back in stock. I will not pay full price for that. I actually went ahead and picked up this Guerlain lipstick, not with this cover. I got the sequins one because I am who I am. But this color, so the 521 Le Grage Rose, that was on sale at Macy's. So I did go ahead and grab it, and I will do a short with that as soon as it arrives. The Givenchy Lip Duo, I know I don't need that, so I'll probably skip. YSL I have on here as a gift. Then I have these YSL Holiday lip products. I really like the Love Shine Plumping Lip Oil Gloss formula, but I don't know that these colors really add anything to my life, so I may hold off on that, but I may end up picking up the Candy Glaze one, even though I already have two, just because in the wintertime, that's my go-to all day, every day lip product that keeps my lips from falling off in the winter. So at 20% off, that actually feels like a good investment. And yeah, that's really it. I am building my wish list though, so I will make a video about that soon. But my next priority is going to be focusing on the new Danessa Myricks palette. I definitely want to do that justice, show swatches and looks and the whole 9 yards. So whenever that gets here, that will be the next video on the definite list. If time allows, I'll also do the Nomad ranking. And yeah, then we're off to Sephora sale season. So God help us all when that rolls around. But anyway, I hope this was a little bit entertaining. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I appreciate it more than I could ever say. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.